From Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. Once you've been in a position to watch everyone you've ever known die, the light goes slowly out of their eyes, transforming them from this magic assembly of quirks, habits, preferences, and dreams to an inert pile of spent flesh and bone. You realize not only that life is precious, but also that death is absolutely inevitable. No matter what you do, the people you love will die one day, and sometimes it happens sooner and faster and more horribly than you could imagine. This is Gothic. The Gothic Podcast is a horror and humor actual play audio drama. As such, it contains material, including our jokes, that may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. Tonight on the Gothic Podcast, we're going to check in with all three of our intrepid groups. The sitcom that is the android and the little old ladies on board Wednesday station.
Come and knock on your door.
The strange exploration that is occurring on the planet Tricae after a shipwreck, and the horror that is occurring on board the salvage vessel Pescado Malo in deep space. But first, we're going to go to Wednesday Station. When last we checked in on Wednesday Station, and it has been a little while since we've been there, but our characters, Axel, Maisie, and Jules, were gathered in Axel's secret hidden space where he, revealed to be an android, repairs himself when needed. There, they also hooked his memory banks up to a set of television screens, and what they saw was rather shocking to all of them, including Axel himself. What they saw on the screen was not just the demise of the strangely armored figure that he had encountered in the access tunnels earlier in the day, but also an older memory, one of what appeared to be Marines being torn apart by similar terrifying, horrifying creatures. So right after that imagery comes onto the screens, you're all sitting back contemplating it, some in shock perhaps, and what replaced it on the screens was the standard Wednesday Station news feed, just scrolling through various bits of procedural rules and governmental actions and such. And, of course, the menu that will be going on in the commissary. When three names also scroll across the news feed. Your three names. And those names are under the tag, wanted for questioning. What do you do?
I change accents again. No.
Tighten my little shawl that's over my head, just like firm up the knot a little bit, turn and give a nod to Jules and be like, "Oh, it was nice knowing you. I wish you luck." And go back to my room because now I'm leaving with rather more alacrity.
I believe, if I remember correctly, Maisie, your space was near where Axel is. Is that correct?
Yeah, so she lives down at what she jokingly calls her room, which is actually just kind of the dead end of a hallway. There is a room at the end, but she's kind of put a wall of like containers and tarps and blankets and little bits and bobs of this and that boxes. Think anything that might be useful. I imagine she's collecting things with the intent eventually to have like a functional, kind of base camp amount of stuff. But she's not slimmed it down yet. She's just been collecting things. So she kind of scoots back to her space and starts grabbing together the essentials first of all, because she wants to get off the station.
A little hoarder corner.
Yeah.
So there are so many rooms available. Why do you not have a room?
Maybe she didn't trust that no one would come to check on the rooms, but she could stick herself down at the bottom end of a hallway and probably not get, bothered too much.
I mean, hoarders are weird.
Yeah.
What about you, Jules?
With the idea that somebody, that we're wanted for questioning, because Jules is not somebody who typically stays on the fringe. She's kind of, normally very out in the open and very noticeable. So she's a little curious about this idea that she is now wanted for questioning and would like to investigate that just a little bit to see if she can figure out what, who is wanting to question, maybe, not only where that's coming from, but try to glean some information as to why they would want to question her.
Okay, how are you going to go about that?
Well, the easiest way, I assume, is to start with finding a console and seeing what information is either available or she might be able to make available.
All right. So there is that equipment here in Axel's space.
Yeah, the equipment is available in Axel's space. Wonder what Axel would actually say in a lot of this case. Right. So I need to figure out what... I'm still looking for who activated me, and also figure out why. Why here? And if they can provide any more information, I'm interested. I will go to the commander myself if you guys need to lay low for a while.
Oh, goodness, I suppose we should find out who, as they say, is on our side before we start blabbing around what we know.
I am at the least risk here, being only a synthetic. I feel responsible for you and all of the people of the station. I could find out what's going on. Go talk to Commander Wiscombe himself.
Perhaps maybe we could do a little snooping around. It might behoove us to, open the book, as it were.
You have to remember, they might be looking for us as well.
Oh, I assume they are, but...
While this space is hidden, I'm quite certain that they would have some kind of trackers that could find us.
That's the question, though. Why are they looking for us?
Being as how we hacked into their communications network, it's quite possible they saw everything we saw.
And yet there's no station-wide alert?
That's what just came over, was a station-wide alert.
For us, not the little critters.
That's what makes me worried.
Same here, I'm very worried. You would think that would be the biggest priority, but instead, the alert is for us.
But we know that there are Marines already out there trying to contain that situation.
Unless that's also why they want to find us. Containment.
Maybe they just want us for more information, just as we're looking for more information from them.
Or maybe they want us for less.
If you feel unsafe, Jewel, I will help you find shelter and safety. I can figure out a way to get you off this station.
Oh, no. I'm right where I belong, but as they say, you don't get so old by being so bold. Caution, that's the way to proceed.
Very well then, Jules. Can I take a moment to look in... while I'm connected to the comms and everything, can I take a moment to try and find a place that seems more... if it seems like it can be shut off completely, that has good life support systems, that has access to water, power, communications, is there like a certain area of the station that either I would know of or that could access through the command terminals that I could figure out a way to get Jules, Maisie, and priority the kids as well into a safe space until I know a little bit more about this situation with the Marines and these alien creatures that seem to be on the station.
Go ahead and give me a comm tech.
Candy bar out of the way. One success.
One success.
Ah.
You could push it if you like. Oh, no, you can't because you're an android. Never mind.
Yeah, no.
You cannot push it.
You got to move it. Push it.
The space that comes to mind immediately when you're looking at the schematics of the station in the virtual layout that is processing at the moment inside your head is the East Ring, of course, because it's abandoned, essentially.
Isn't that where we encountered them, though?
It was in the east access shaft or tunnel that leads out to the ring.
But getting them there, that's going to be the difficult part.
I mean, that's the one that comes to your mind immediately.
Okay. The easiest
There
way to
are presumably other places as well. You are finding that apparently a lot of security measures that aren't usually implemented are currently active on the system. And so you're having a hard time accessing things. Now, there's the basic schematics of the ship. There's power usage. There's an environmental information. That sort of thing is there. But to find what you're looking for, which is something that is safe and secure or securable and still powered, heated, has atmosphere, all of that good stuff. That information, it can be correlated, but it's taking you longer than it normally would, just because
I'm going to have to fight through security measures.
Security protocols that you're trying to avoid being noticed while you're even doing this relatively low-key browsing about. Jules, Axel has sort of zoned out there, kind of staring off into space while the cables are still hooked into the back of his neck. What are you going to do? There are terminals around if you wanted to go ahead and go with your original plan, or if you wanted to do something else.
She's going to grab a terminal and try to dig into that message a little bit more. Like, the alert is there, but she wants to look a little below the surface on that alert to see if she can discern, like, maybe who exactly sent this, what details may be along with it. For reasons unknown, she feels fairly certain that oftentimes in those alerts, there are messages, not necessarily hidden in them, but embedded in them. Say the Marines may get a slightly different message than the civilians would, and so on and so forth. So she's going to look and see if there's anything like that happening here.
Sure. We haven't talked too much about Jules and Jules's background. Jules has, however, shown some interesting proclivities, such as having access to a terminal of her own that seems to have some kind of tracking setup on it, as we saw before she went out after Axel. What special qualities are you bringing to this search? You have that knowledge that sometimes there's these layers of messaging, but is there something you're able to bring to this that is going to allow you to hack deeper into the system to access those messages that wouldn't be for the public eye?
Oh, it's possible that Jules has a login that might be useful that's a little more, let's use the word subtle, than the login she might use, say, when she's roaming around her kitchen, whipping up the most recent recipe. Maybe she has another login that she can use. So as she approaches the terminal, she kind of does the look around for a little privacy moment before she logs in.
Maisie's not here. Maisie tucked her hat onto her head and essentially flipped everyone off and headed out the door. So there is just Axel staring off into space.
But there's a time to throw caution to the wind, but when it comes to a souffle, I'm afraid you can't be too cautious. So she's going to be very cautious, just to make certain that there's nobody around and nobody watching. And she's going to log in using a login that if somebody were watching, might be less recognizable.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a Comtech.
Looks like we got just one success out of that mess, but we did get one.
Oh, I see you are still rocking a stress there.
I am, yes. Unless you think enough time has passed.
I I'd say probably that stress can still stand since there are some fairly stressful things going on right now.
Fair enough.
Like the government, like trying to find you? Big Brother knows, man.
And so you too, Jules, get involved, typing away. Maisie, there in your room, have you decided what it is you're going to take with you as you escape Wednesday Station?
Yeah. I'll take the basics, kind of like a bedroll or maybe not even a bedroll, but like a long, heavy coat. And I've got my stick. I've got one of those little like flameless stoves that runs off of gel, and a variety of shiny things that I might sell. I think I've probably got those giant pairs of like really old scissors that are just like each arm is one solid piece of metal, and things that'll keep me safe and warm and fed primarily, and my stick.
So it hasn't taken you terribly long to gather that up. What's your next move?
I'm just headed over to the area of the station where ships would dock. Which I don't know if I know where that is.
I'm just trying to find the next boat out of this motherfucker.
Exactly. I'm headed down. I intend to stow away on whichever ship looks liable to leave first.
The docking area for ships is going to be, there are a couple of different places. There is the center of each of the rings, i.e. at the end of each of the large spokes coming out from the central mass of the space station, the mass that has the gardens and the domes on the top, and goes out to each of the 4 rings that make up the living and research areas of the station. So there's a dock at the end of each of those. That's mostly, though, for dropping off supplies and such. Sometimes passenger vessels or vessels that you can get passage on dock at those as well. The lab vessels that come this way, the military vessels, the major supply and that sort of spacefaring stuff all goes and docks on the underside of the main mass of the station. So that main mass there in the midst of all of this, and you can go to our Instagram feed and see a hand-drawn picture of Wednesday Station done by me, your game mother.
We need to add more to that Instagram now.
But you would know if there was a ship right now at the north dock, which is the north ring is the ring where the commissary, the shops, the stores, some of the living areas are. And you know that there isn't one there right now. But that doesn't mean there's not one at one of the other 2 active rings, the west ring or the south. You all are in the west ring right now.
Cool.
And you don't know, of course, if there's any under the main part of the station, the engineering section of the station, engineering and life support. So how would you go about finding out this information that you need, or what is your plan?
I think I will also find a nearby panel, because everyone's using panels, a nearby terminal, and I'm going to try and look up to see if we're in the west ring of the station. I figure that's probably information I could find out.
So this part of the Gothic podcast is pretty much like going down the street and seeing everybody on their phones. Okay, give me a Comtech. Let's see.
Right.
Let's see how well you do.
I've got 1 success.
Well, with 1 success, you see, just scrolling the general news feed for the station, which does tell what the public-facing ships are that are docked here. You do, in fact, confirm that there is nothing docked at the north ring. There's only room enough for 1 ship at each of the rings.
Mm-hmm.
you see that there is a ship docked in the West Ring, but it is not due to depart for another 2 days, it looks like.
Okay. Is there room for more than one ship at a time to dock down at the central part?
Yes. You might get as many as 4 or 5 down there. I think there's probably enough docking slots for 6.
Okay. I'll head that away.
Okay. The corridors of the West Ring are not quiet. There are plenty of people, and some of them nod to you as you go by. Not necessarily in recognition, just in acknowledgement of your existence. You keep a relatively low profile, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I do. And I think that, the moment she's kind of in a space that's a little busier, the back hunches maybe a little more. She starts to lean a little more heavily on the stick and adopts a sort of a mildly confused smile.
Let me get another roll from you as you are attempting to make your way unobserved, unspotted by those who might otherwise turn you in, or maybe even some of the private police force that's roaming around the station. So let's see. I kind of want to say mobility for this, unless you have a better idea. Maybe manipulation. You're trying to...
Manipulation to try and, seem unassuming, or maybe even survival to just stay unnoticed.
I actually think manipulation probably fits the bill better.
Okay.
Because you're trying to assume a persona.
You're trying to assume an unassuming persona.
You're unassuming an assumption.
Okay. All right, so manipulation. I got 1 success.
The night of 1 success.
The night of 1 successes.
How many stress are you at?
1. And it was the stress dice that I got the success on.
Well, there you go. You make your way down around the hallways of the West Ring to the elevator. Remember that the elevator is a complex beast, and so you slip easily into the elevator at this end. Of course, this isn't the tricky end. The tricky end is down at the main spoke, where you have to get out of it while still spinning. But you ride down with a fellow in a lab coat who's peering intently at his clipboard, jotting down some notes. This is an electronic clipboard, but still. And just a couple of civilians. And you get out at the main spoke and start down it. But there ahead of you are 2 of the private security people for the station. They've got their jumpsuits on. They've got the, not badge, but patch over their left breast that is emblazoned with the symbol of the station. How do you get past them? They're looking at people who are going by. They don't seem to be stopping anyone.
I think upon seeing them, Maisie hunches even more, leans even more heavily on the cane, and begins doing that thing where she's alternatively clutching the place where her little headscarf thing knots under her chin. She's either kind of clutching that or kind of almost looks like she's patting the air or maybe reaching out to the wall for support, and just kind of creeps like a very little old lady up past them.
They glance your way, or one of them does, but then one of the others tells a joke, and the one that was looking a little bit more intently at you turns back and laughs at the joke, and you slip past.
I don't speed up until I speed up again until I'm out of sight.
Back in Axel's room, Jules, you have accessed the sub-levels of the messaging in the news feed. You aren't able to get very far in, but you're in far enough to see that the order that is going out to the security team has your names and general descriptions, but there are no pictures attached. And these orders aren't coming from Commander Wiscombe, but rather from Wednesday Station's chief scientist, Jacob Chaucer.
Oh, no.
Axel, on your search...
And you told me that seems like the East Wing or the East Ring is the most defendable, like to be able to lock off a section and like create some kind of panic room or bomb shelter kind of bunker.
That's kind of up to you to decide. The East Ring is more or less abandoned. It is where there are old labs that have been shut down but not stripped, and there are lots of spaces there that just no one goes out there because they don't pump heat out there other than to keep it just warm enough to, not have the whole thing freeze from the cold of space. It's not heated to comfort levels. The rest of the environmental controls for out there are sporadic at best. Lighting is crappy. It's a very scary, spooky area that the kids play around going out in the
Let's
main
go explore
shaft.
the haunted house. Yeah.
But they don't go too deep into the ring itself. Also because the elevator is locked. And so to get into the ring itself, you have to climb the elevator shaft up to the ring.
In that investigation, would it have been possible to figure out a way to lock off like a certain corridor for like a fast movement exodus of people if needed?
You mean like do it remotely?
Yes. Like set it up, lock off a lot of corridors, send a lot of people, and then shut it so that it's like I said, like kind of like a panic room.
You think you might have been able to do that at one point, but those security protocols that are now in place don't give you that sort of control without you risking discovery.
Then I would probably move on to escape routes and probably come to the same conclusions that Jules did.
Oh, about the ships?
Exodus, like getting off the station.
You see that there is a ship in the West Ring docked.
That's not leaving for a couple of days. Okay.
It's not leaving for a couple of days, but you two are blocked out of knowing what ships are in the administrative docking area.
I would search for Axel's, Jules, and Maisie's information files for the station and would instantly try to remove any specific identifying photography, any images.
Again, something that you might have been able to do before, but that is currently...
The security protocol has locked me out.
Yeah, has locked you out because of the security protocols.
Gotcha. At that point, then, actually reverting to, can I use the comm system to tap back into something more previous to my current memories of any activation or who activated me?
Those memories were accessed when Jules was messing around with getting your memory up and running from earlier in the day. And so you might be able to do so with her help.
Okay. But it seems like I still have no idea.
Right.
From what I can access. Jules, do we need to get off this boat or should we find out what's really going on?
Oh, I suppose there's wisdom in leaving, but I just don't know if my inquisitiveness will allow me to. I seem to want to know more.
I think it might be a good idea to have a word with Jacob Chaucer at this moment. If you would like to accompany me, then you're more than welcome to. I don't think Maisie's interested. I'm going to try and see if I can get the others around the West Ring here to a safer location until we can figure out what's going on.
Why do you wish to go see Mr. Chaucer?
Ultimately, I'm looking for answers.
Very interesting. While you were doing your little thing, I asked an old friend, and turns out he's the one looking for us. That alert, it came from him.
You're a friend with the chief science officer?
Oh, no. My friend dug this up. It didn't come from the commander.
Yes, I've noticed that too. But I think if we're to find any answers of what's going on, then at this point, he's probably our best bet.
Possibly, but should we do this on our own terms?
Sure. If you need to take care of other things, please do so. I'm going to pass the word along to Maisie and some of the locals here in the West Ring, and hopefully they can shelter themselves and not explore too extensively into the ugliness we encountered earlier.
Very good, very good.
Be safe, Jules.
And you too, my synthetic friend.
Try to find Maisie. If I don't find Maisie in her corner, if she's already gone by that point, maybe I hope she's safe. And then I'd move along and start mentioning to some of the kids around, as well as some of the families that I know, to just try and stay in your quarters for the next little bit, just in case. Not like dire warning, but, just kind of like a be safe. Please stay inside tonight kind of thing.
Maisie,
Mm-hmm.
you get to the central mass of the station.
Yes.
Engineering, administrative, and big hydroponic and garden domes, where it's going to become a little bit tricky. Those aren't public docks down there. There are public routes into this section of the station. The gardens in the domes are available for people to go wander around, although the main dome has been closed off for about a week. The signs indicate that it is undergoing special fertilization techniques.
Special fertilization. Get out the special fertilization. Hey, 420. I've seen people who work on the station in like a blue collar capacity, like folks who go around and clean or whatever, right? And kind of been able to observe them and, watch what they do.
Sure.
I think what I would like to do is to the best of my ability, like duck in somewhere and take off my headscarf and stuff like this and put everything I have into maybe a garbage bag or something and pretend to be somebody taking out the garbage.
While Maisie pretends to take out the garbage, Axel moves from known family to known family, giving them warnings. And while Jewel pursues her own, sometimes unfathomable investigations, we go to the planet Tricae. We go deep within the planet Tricae. Tricae, with its bands of stone and ice and forest and desert and plains, but all of these things in band after band, wrapping around like a wicker ball that you might find at the craft store, but on planetary scale. Waterfalls pouring from one level to the next. But we leave the more temperate levels, the outer levels, behind. Our camera wheels down, spinning down past these ribbons of land and forest and earth and snow and stone and rock and down into the depths where it becomes darker and darker until at last we see one point of light, a point of light that becomes multiple small points of light as we get closer. The lights shining from the exterior of the shuttlecraft of the Wapiti crashed on a deep, deep ring near the core of the planet Tricae, having gouged through what appears to be strange formations of snow and ice, revealing metal, worked metal beneath. And then our camera wheels into the interior of the shuttlecraft, where a group of conscious and unconscious Marines, scientists, and Navy pilots are gathered trying to decide what to do next.
We're going to explore it, right?
Among them, of course, Dr. Laura, Wild Bill, and Ray. The chief scientist of this expedition, Dr. Wick, he has been arguing for the need for investigation, since all you have to do here is wait anyway for the inevitable, he says, the inevitable rescue mission, which will certainly come for us soon, as Dr. Angels here has set the correct frequencies for such. But this is inexplicable. Worked metal. What is this?
I am excited to explore, sir. I have sent out the distress signal, but if you will allow me, I will get my bag in a suit, and we should explore. It will be very fun.
Yes. Mr. Tanaka, how's the crew? Are we all alive?
Sir, only Lieutenant Francis is deceased. Everyone else is shaken. We have some bumps and bruises for sure from the landing, but the worst probably being Crisp's legs, so maybe Crisp shouldn't go down a spaceship, right? They probably have different sized stairs than us. I'm like joking with him, trying to get him to smile.
He does not. However, I think in the time things have settled, the life support systems are functional. It doesn't appear that you're going to die immediately. Power levels are low, but it's still working, and you've had a chance to do the bantering bit and to be and for Ray to be moving around from one person to another, calming them down. So I think that everybody can probably reduce their stress by 1.
Ooh.
If you insist.
I mean, honestly, if there is something there that we can scavenge that would help with our power supply issues, that might be a good idea. I am not sure how long we can last until a rescue mission can arrive.
Okay, everybody take 1 stress back for that message of doom and gloom.
Damn! Why did I do that?
No, I won't make you do that.
No, I mean, I'm trying to encourage to go explore. Yeah,
I don't know how long we'll live.
Everything might be terrible.
I mean, guys, anything would be better than just sitting here waiting for them to come to us, man. I'd rather go do something. Sitting here it's wigging me out, man.
Oh, do we have any wait, where's my professor voice? Hold on. Yes, mad scientist. Yes. Yes, well, is there any scanners or anything on board here that are still functional?
It's a good idea, man.
I think we should gather whatever we can. I will go get my bag.
Yeah, totally. Look around and see what I can come up with.
The ship scanners are going to be up in the pilot's cabin, where all the blood is. A lot of it yours. Also, by the way, there is still the corpse of that creature that had leapt out of the ventilation systems and attempted to rip out Ensign Crisp's throat.
Don't worry, I can make sure and put it in stasis.
Oh, I was going to say absolutely nobody touch this with their bare hands or make sure that it didn't bleed on you or anything. Because
we kind of saw the acid blood with this thing, right?
Yeah, and who knows what weird diseases it could be carrying. Do I know where this thing's been? No, neither of you. Who knows? This might be space rabies.
Is there any kind of containment pods?
Yeah, we should get this isolated where it won't be a biohazard laying here on the cargo bay floor.
There is an emergency, 2 emergency cryo chambers in the shuttle.
Okay, but nothing that would be like a biohazard chamber.
Yeah, this isn't a science ship.
Currently, does the blood seem to be eating a hole through the shuttle?
Yeah, it did a little bit, but not more than just the grating that's on the floor of the cargo bay area where everybody is. It didn't go through the bulkhead.
Okay.
That's good.
As long as we don't mess with it, I think it will be what it is for now. And I scurry off and go grab all of my stuff.
Do we have any of things that they were going to put specimens in that would be maybe at least kind of like I don't know, stuff you could put alien samples in and have it be contained?
Well, you definitely have things for smaller collection.
Oh, gotcha.
No one had expected larger fauna.
It's just huge. Okay.
I know you guys keep wanting a jar, like a giant mason jar to put stuff in. But
We just have bigger and bigger mason jars. That's how the technology of pods works in this universe.
the best you've really got here is the cryo chambers, the weapons locker that had been crushing Dr. Wick's leg. And then if you wanted to take like partial samples, then you could certainly have the containers to do that.
Dr. Laura's more interested in what is going on outside at the moment, because that, it seems to be the salvation. Heading to grab up her med kit, her diagnostic device, and also grabbing anything else that looks like it might be helpful, any other cutting torches that might be available on the shuttle.
Well, Bill,
Oi.
you are headed up to the cabin?
Yes.
You go up there. It's a small space. You push in behind the pilot's chair. You have momentary flashbacks of your leg being ripped open as you sat in that chair.
A little shiver runs up and down his spine.
But, that was a solid hour ago. And there are still, lights showing functionality on the panels. I'm inclined to let you roll piloting for this check rather than Comtech, in part because I know that you just added on some piloting.
I did, a little bit.
But also because it seems like that would be, like the scanners and such are part of the piloting aspect of this, rather than like the Comtech or science-y part.
Okay.
You might not be able to interpret them, but you can bring them up. You know where the controls are, based on the video games you played.
Yes, easy enough. And I do still have a little stress because I had a lot. Those kind of went everywhere. Yeah, that's a whole lot of nothing right there.
You flick the right switches. I mean, they're the right switches. It's not anything secret about them. But the monitors aren't coming up. There's a kind of a greenish background glow, but there's no information scrolling across them. Would you like to try to fix the problem, or are you just going to let it be?
Sure. Let's fix the problem, or at least make a very vain attempt to fix the problem.
Okay. Well, this could end up being kind of stressful for you because, I mean, all they sent you up here to do was just, check some frickin' scanners. And here it is. It's supposed to work. These switches are supposed to work, just like the controls were supposed to work on your death spiral down into the center of this planet. And so this could be a little bit stressy for you. So go ahead and roll a Comtech here.
And part of the reason that Wild Bill's doing this is because, his years in the Marine Service, this isn't the first time he's been stressed out. This isn't the first weird thing that's happened, although it's pretty far up on the list. But he also knows that the best way to deal with this is to do something. Idleness is that's one of the few things that he's actually just afraid of. So he's doing something, even if it's wrong. And here we go. Well, there you have it. One of each.
One face hugger.
This is going to mean a roll on the panic table. So you're going to roll a d6 plus the number of stress die you have. So d6 plus 2.
That's about right. So that is a 6, so that's 8.
Oh, dear.
You get underneath the panel, part of, hanging partway off of the command chair there. And it's kind of awkward and it's hurting your leg. But you're under there and you're starting to pull some wires out that you think go to the right thing. You do see that there's some messed up down here from where that creature was, probably right before it slashed your leg. You're down here in this cramped place. You're down here in this claustrophobic space, and maybe there's more than one of them. That everybody else is back in the back. If something came for you now, it could just rip your face off. You begin to tremble uncontrollably.
That's what's going on with Lars right now.
Yeah.
I got the jitters, man. I got the jitters. And some of it's probably too because now that the action has stopped, was starting to calm down, and when that adrenaline wears off, that's when you get the shakes, man. So that's a little what's kicking in there for him. That all that kind of comes rushing at him.
While you were experiencing that, you also do still find the connections that got pulled out from when the creature was under here, and you plug those back in, and you hear the clear sound of rebooting in the monitors up above. You have mail.
That's weird.
And I was like, AOL? What?
It looks like you're trying to restart the monitors. Would you like a tip?
Look here, somebody's been trying to reach me about my extended warranty
on your space shuttle.
on the shuttle. So yeah, Wild Bill, like he hears all that and like job done, right? So he's going to jump out and get back out of that shuttle. And when he does so, he kind of brings up to a guard position, kind of flipping around, looking everything over, like something's up again. Just because now he's really good and freaked out.
So you leave the pilot chamber, even though the things are booting back up.
Yep.
And you go back into the back section.
Yep.
So you get back there, and once you're around people again, your trembling settles. So all you needed to do was get out of that claustrophobic space, and now you're feeling all right.
Damn cockpits, man.
Meanwhile, several people have gathered up to either, one, stay or go out on a little mini expedition. Dr. Wick is essentially given command of organizing this little expedition over to you, Dr. Laura, because that's not the same thing he cares about. He says, Dr. Angels, pick out a few good men, as they say, and then we will make our way out onto the surface and find out what this is.
Well, Ray is always a good asset, as we always need good healers. And I guess we can take Wild Bill. He seems to be somewhat sufficient in protecting us. Ensign Feather can be the red shirt for the expedition. Ensign Feather seems to do very well in stressful situations. But we should make haste. Try to find. We are looking for power supplies. Everybody, check your comms units on your headset, and let's make sure we have constant communication. Make sure we have constant communication with the shuttle.
The suits that you're going to be able to take out with you are fairly basic environment suits. They are not too bulky. They have a thin layer of air between the outer skin of them and your skin. They also have a fairly close-fitting helmet that has lights on them that strangely mostly illuminate your face rather than the area in front of you. No one's ever really certain why that was a design of the suits, but it allows your faces to be seen quite well in the otherwise dark spaces that you find yourselves in.
The suit models were too vain. They just wanted to see themselves.
We must find power supply as well as any information as to what happened with this, whatever it is.
Yes, power supply, yes, of course. I'm sure that's the most important thing that we will find in this monolithic structure that we have crashed upon. But yes, I'm certain that why are we looking for power? They will be here to rescue us soon.
We have not been able to maintain communications with the base.
Well, sure, but the emergency beacon is surely powerful enough to get past all of that. Anyway,
it has approximately the same range, sir.
When you all are ready, I'm ready to get out there myself and get to it, as they say. I've become British.
Up in the airlock.
Axel disease is affecting us all.
It is bad trying to maintain a certain accent unless you stay in it for like hours. Well, if we are all ready, then shall I? As I walk towards the airlock mechanism and try and open the door.
Yeah, let's just do something, man. Let's just do something.
There is a small airlock area. Let's see, it's going to be 5 of you total. And you all cram into the space. the door closes behind you. There's a ominous latching sound. Ka-thunk. And then Dr. Laura hits the cycling button. Then the back gate, the back door of the shuttlecraft, lowers to become a ramp. And as it does, snow whirls in around the edges. Beyond, you see that a wind is blowing snow all around the surface that you are on. These ice formations to either side of the gouge you have created are in strange shapes, vaguely, barely illuminated by the exterior lights of the shuttle. And those lights of the shuttle don't extend more than 20 or so meters beyond the edge of the ship. Beyond that, it's just darkness here on this deep, deep level of the planet. But directly behind the ship, a meter or so of ice, or whatever it is, has been just torn up by the passage of the shuttlecraft. And under that is a dark metal that is patterned with indentations and such, like plates on top of plates, armored in some way, but all also one piece. So it's not like they've been bolted together. They're just all sort of fused together. You take a few cautious steps down the ramp, leading the way with Dr. Wick, Dr. Laura.
Well, I guess, let's find a way into this. And start leading off and walking down, basically walking down, the groove that the shuttle had, created.
Ensign Feather waves the motion detector around to make sure that it's detecting all of you, which is probably a good time to check the power level of the motion detector.
Is this the same one?
Yeah.
It's the only one that had any power. While Bill, you're kind of in charge of the Marine detachment, yeah?
Yeah, you're the Marine leader at this point.
You may as well roll this power check. It only has one power, so roll 1d6, use a stress die. If it comes up with a 1, it loses that last power point.
Alrighty.
Ooh, a 2.
Dos.
It wasn't a facehugger.
But not a facehugger. Feather thumps against it with a mitted hand and nods to everybody. Motion detector is working. Wait, I don't think that's my accent. What was my accent? Did I have an accent?
Bro, you're slowing down.
Did I have an accent? Yeah, the motion detector is working. Says I, Ensign Feather.
Good job, Ensign. All right, let's move forward. Doctors, do your doctor thing.
I'm already 20, 30 feet ahead, just kind of looking around.
Yeah, man. Just do your thing, man.
Yo, do you ever think about the fact that somebody made this? I said, do you ever think about it as if we didn't crash land on this 5 minutes ago? No, somebody made this. It's crazy.
I have something weird here, says Feather.
Weird? What is weird?
Well, there's 5 of us. I'm getting 7 readings.
Well, that's no good.
Dr. Laura perks up, looks back. What do you mean?
I'm getting 7 readings.
Where? Where?
Well, okay. There's the 5 of us, and he points at everybody. And then there's somebody right in front of us and somebody right behind us.
Does he point close to
moving.
us?
Yeah, only 3 or 4 meters ahead of you, and maybe that back. You've now moved a little bit away from the shuttle. You're standing on the metal surface beneath you.
Are you saying there are other life forms here?
I guess, but wait a minute. Hold on. Does this
looking
thing...
up at the sky, looking for any of those flying things.
Yeah, and Wild Bill's doing the thing where he looks with his gun.
Dr. Laura and Wild Bill, give me observation checks then.
Ooh.
I got 1 success.
2 successes.
You're not seeing anything. There's nothing out there in the darkness that you can see. Your rifle, Wild Bill, has a a light on it, and it's shining out into the, not blizzard, but definitely wind-blown snow and particles and such. There's illusions of movement, but now you're in your element. Now it's not, a cramped little space with some, bitey little chupacabra thing trying to rip you apart. And you're able to distinguish between shapes that are made by the patterns created by the snow and other things. There's nothing out there. And Dr. Laura, you look up and around for a moment, but then you go over and you actually look at the motion detector, and you see what Ensign Feather wasn't seeing, which is that it does kind of indicate not just location, but altitude, and these figures are below you.
Are we well enough equipped? And I look around trying to assess everybody's weaponry. I still only have my, the M3A2 pistol or something like that, the service pistol. But I'm looking around and making sure that everybody else is equipped.
Do you feel equipped?
I don't get weapons, but I've got my med kit, my Naprolieve.
You have no weapons? How about Wild Bill?
I mean, but Wild Bill has a rifle.
You have your marine stuff, yeah. Oh, and the ensign?
A sidearm.
Ensign Feather? Just a sidearm? Does Dr. Wick have anything?
His powerful brain.
Right.
I don't think you don't want Dr. Wick to have a gun.
Yeah. Almost as much as you don't want Dr. Laura to have a gun. But anyway, she has one. So, if we run into trouble, we should return to shuttle. And continuing forward, looking for an opening, a hatch, something that seems different.
You brought your gear with you, right, Dr. Laura?
Yeah, like a med kit, I have a diagnostic device, I have a weapon. Yeah, I have quite a few things. I have like this weird backpack that I'm like going through, like pulling out stuff, grabbing. Oh yes, I have a weapon.
Right.
But right now I have the flashlight out and mostly just kind of like looking around.
Comms from the ship crackle on over your headsets, and Ensign Crisp comes on and says, "Here's a away team. Do you copy?"
Yes, we hear you, Ensign Crisp.
Yeah, it looks like I've got a thinner area. It's underneath some snow or ice, about 50 yards back.
We will check it out.
The surface is thinner?
It's weird reading. I'm
like less echo resonance.
Yeah, exactly that. That's exactly what it's telling me.
50 feet directly ahead of where we are now.
Yeah, I said yards, but sure.
50 yards of where we are now.
Dr. Wick says, I believe that he means meters.
Goddamn metrics. Mostly just continuing forward. We will check it out. Thank you, Ensign Crisp.
Crisp out. You go back about 50 meters, and you do find that here the ice and snow wasn't gouged up as deeply, but it was cracked up pretty good. It was like, this is like the initial spot where you hit, and maybe the third time. There was some bouncing along the way. And you do see that here the metal isn't fused together. There's a separation, as if this could be some sort of hatch. But if it is, it's on a monolithic scale. It is a solid 10 feet across.
Start dusting off the snow. Start dusting off the snow. And, like, as I start to do that as well.
The ice is strange. It's a weird color in the lights from your helmets. It's a blue gold, almost, and sharp-edged. It really wants to cut through your environmental suits. It is cold out here, too. Your suits are keeping you reasonably protected from that, but they also have power levels that will need to be checked occasionally.
Look for an access panel.
We do that.
What would that look like?
I am not sure. I've never seen anything like this.
Yes, an access panel for something like this. Are we suspecting it's a ship or... Dr. Laura, I wish that we'd gotten those scanners working. Wait, the fellow back in the ship, I wonder if he could give us a larger Echo imagery. Is that what the terminology is for that?
Resonant imagery, yes.
Yes. That, yes.
I mean, we can always ask him, hey, Crispy, you still listening?
This is Ensign Crisp, yes?
Yeah, Crispy, the docs want more like a larger echo thingy on the whatever that is there.
Right. I'll see what I can do. Give me a few. And who's going to be looking specifically for the, like some sort of access panel?
Well, Dr. Laura.
I think Ray's kicking around in the snow looking for one, too.
Ray's going to be helping, so this will give you a +1 die, Dr. Laura. Go ahead and roll observation.
+1?
Mm-hmm. +1 die.
Plus...
Not a stress die, just a regular die.
But also plus stress.
But also plus stress. You are still stressed. And you want to get in, you want to find the entrance to this. You want it to be cool. You want it to be the find of a lifetime.
I do. 2 successes. No face huggers.
Yay.
You find a huge bar inset into the metal itself, like it's some sort of plunger-like wheel, except it's just a bar. So it looks like probably this bar lifts up and then you turn it, but it is 2 feet across, probably.
I think I found something. Can somebody help me with this?
I'll go over and help her.
Bill, maybe you too.
This is big.
I mean, Wild Bill will help if he has to, but he really likes the idea of somebody staying on guard and keeping watch, too.
While Bill takes up an overwatch, there's really is just room for 2 of you to get onto the plunger.
All right.
And this is going to be straight up strength. So which one of you wants to take point on that?
I would probably lean towards Ray.
Ooh, me, pick me.
All right, so Ray, go ahead and roll this one. You'll have a +1 for Dr. Laura's help.
Is it just strength, or is there any specific skill that I should roll?
Nope, just strength.
Probably just strength.
Just strength. +1 from Dr. Laura. It's 2 successes.
Nice.
Excellent. You lift up on this plunger and turn it, and then push it back down. There is a click. It's a very solid, very loud click that comes through the helmets of your suit. There is a sudden whooshing of air that just blows up from all around this 10-foot by 10-foot hatch. It blows the ice and such off of the top, and then it begins to sink into the ground. Do you want to stand on it as it does so?
No, move off to the side.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know what's down there.
It disappears into the darkness, leaving a black pit behind that your lights do little to illuminate.
Click on my flashlight again and shine it down into the hole.
Again, it's just an X-Files-like beam that catches the ice particles floating down and the dust.
Oh, we're going to need a longer rope.
At that moment, Ensign Chris' voice comes across the comms, and he says, the first thing that you get, though, is that there's this just aura of awe in his voice. And he says, away team, this isn't a ship.
What is it?
It's the planet.
No, but what is it, though? Like, come on.
And then we go to the Pescado Malo.
Oh, my God.
Flying through the starscape of space.
That is a moon.
Space trucking across the universe.
That's playing on
Pescado Malo. Still can't find reverse.
On the Pescado Malo, we left our crew in a series of dire straits. Lars was passed out in a junction on Deck B, while Bosco and Patience were in the engine room, having just been attacked by something horrifying. The klaxons have begun going off. The lighting has switched to General Quarters Red. The captain has come across the intercom system saying, there's an emergency. Everybody needs to get back up here to the galley. We got some shit to figure out. But what he doesn't know is that you have eyes on the thing that attacked you, threw you across the room, the thing that has apparently sabotaged many of the comm systems here on this level
I forgot about that.
go deeper into the engine compartments, deeper in among the engines. You were going to go after it right before the klaxons went off. What is your thinking now? What are you going to do?
Well, remembering that the patients would remember, I do not, that the comm panels are non-functional, I instead will turn to Bosco and say, Bosco, you need to get up there and report to the captain directly. I can't communicate from here. So I'm going to tell him I have eyes on what I believe to be a potential immediate threat to the engines.
And you want me to leave you with that potential immediate threat? It sounds like a terrible idea.
How I was gonna say how else are we supposed to report to the captain? But I don't know if patients would actually say that. Unless you have a mobile communication device in your pocket that I don't know about, we have no other way of alerting him to what is potentially going on down here.
I got a flashlight.
That will not help us communicate with our captain.
Are the engines running?
Yes.
Well, now, wait a minute. We ain't got comms, but that don't mean we can't communicate. And controls up for these engines are all up in the cockpit, but they all run down here. All we got to do is figure out which lights you want to make blinky, and I could probably make them blinky from here.
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. What were you saying?
Bosco, can make the controls blink from here. That's what he does. I mean, I'm not going to say we ain't never messed with a pilot before,
You intend to send the captain a message in Morse code through blinking control panel lights?
Yeah.
That's actually a good idea. You should do that.
While you contemplate this possibly crazy or possibly crazy good idea, there's a shower of sparks that fountains up from deeper in the engines, in that maze of machinery where the creature disappeared to.
But do it fast, I'll say to Bosco, and
yeah, fast is good.
Go off into the to follow it.
Bosco, you move over to some controls. You some of the dials and knobs and switches here that will move steam pressure from one place to another, that will overload some minor systems and underpower some others, and start analyzing what the best method would be to send your message in Morse code. Patience, you clamber up, getting some footholds on various pieces of motionless machinery, on indentations and large bolts sticking out from the sides of the machinery, and you climb up until you can get yourself not wedged into, but it's pretty narrow. You have to move kind of sideways as you start moving through one of the sections here where the creature disappeared into, and you didn't see it for very long, but you saw it long enough. It was pretty big. You're not sure how it cut through here so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dark back here, but there is that red light filtering in places. It, of course, is strobing because heaven knows it doesn't do to have a solid red light when there's an emergency going on. One that might not distract you would be of no use at all. And you make your way back, feeling the heat of the engines on your back, on your face. Patients, make an observation roll.
Okay.
No particular reason.
This is fine.
This is going to be an opposed check.
Okay. Well, fellas, I got 0 successes. Doing real great tonight. Actually, we've had a lot of good rolls tonight.
Yeah, it looks like I have 3 successes.
Wow. Good job, Patience.
You're moving along there, and you should have known that it wouldn't be in front of you. I mean, when you first encountered it, it was crawling down the wall like a spider. This isn't a tunnel. This is a chasm here that you're passing through, and it is only when the creature's drool drips down on you from above when you hear that ticking sound. Tick, 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 tick. And then something reaches down for you, and let me actually find out what it does. I always forget to roll first to see what its attack actually is. It lifts you up and then launches itself through the air, landing on top of this bulk of this metal. You hear this, Bosco, and you turn and you look, and you see up there, illuminated by red light, red flashing light, this creature, this thing. Bosco, you see this. You see the red lights illuminating this thing from behind, silhouetting it as it has a hold of Patience. Patience, its head, that sleek, torpedo-like head, is right there in front of you. It's got you gripped on either side, your shoulders creaking underneath the stress, the pressure of this thing's muscles. It opens its jaws wider and then wider, and then hands are pulling the head of this thing apart.
Wait!
Well, that escalated quickly.
And covered in gore is a face. And that face looks at you and says,
I've found you, Dr. Grace Moreau.
Oh my god, that's the most terrifying way I can possibly imagine seeing this dude again.
and Bosco, all you see from down below is this thing as it rips Patience's arm off, and white blood goes spraying everywhere. And we'll see where all of this goes on the next episode of the Gothic Podcast.
Oh my gosh, patient, you've been disarmed.
The Gothic Podcast is a humor and horror actual play podcast produced by C. Patrick Neagle, starring C. Patrick Neagle, Sharon Gollery-LaFournese, Jesse Baldwin, and Richard Southard. Season 3 of the Gothic Podcast uses rules from the Alien RPG, produced by Free League Publishing, and Monster of the Week, written by Michael Sands and published by Evil Hat Productions. Theme music is by Zoe Hovland, and original artwork by Jared George Art. If you enjoy the Gothic Podcast, please like, rate, and review us on iTunes. Visit our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram feeds, and check out our Patreon page. Thanks.
Jules is like an ex-SEAL.
Yeah.
Jules is like the Steven Seagal of the station.
Well, Jules goes along with your